Welcome to your doom.
What's up, folks? We're your hosts for the Welcome to Your Doom Show. This is indeed the Welcome to Your Doom Show. I'm Justin.
This is Atul.
And what's up, man? How's it going?
It's hanging. I'm just busy spending my entire paycheck on 4K Blu-rays. So
You got some pretty epic ones, though.
yeah, I ordered just today. I ordered Annihilation on 4K, John Wick 2, and The Meg.
I still haven't seen Annihilation. It's been on Netflix forever.
Yeah, it's a really good movie.
Yeah.
It's a very good movie. Like a movie that I feel like more people should see because it kind of flew under the radar, I think, last year.
Yeah.
So
Is it a completely female-led cast? Sorry for the mic's noise. Hold on.
whoop.
I just want to move the mic a little closer.
Yeah.
All right.
It is a primarily female, yeah, and there are a few male characters in it, but they're not super prominent.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's an excellent movie. So, and it has a very distinct visual style. So I'm really excited to see it in 4K. What have you been up to?
Not a lot, man. Reflecting after our last episode, because I felt like I was not getting enough Blu-rays in my life.
Yeah.
So since our last episode, I've been looking at getting more Blu-rays now.
Oh, is that right?
I'm not even kidding. Like, I felt like I was missing out on some things. Like, there's some movies that I feel like I should have on Blu-ray that I don't.
That's right. That's
like
how, exactly
John
how,
Wick was
yeah.
the first one that came to my mind.
Yeah.
But then I looked, I was looking for, I can't remember what I was looking for. I think Logan or something like that. And I realized that the last Blu-rays I had actually bought myself were dumpster dive ones in Walmart.
Oh, yeah.
It was Gladiator and Unforgiven.
Oh, nice.
So I
Nice.
got a couple as of
Excellent.
slightly recently, but I feel like I could do better.
Excellent.
So
Yeah, I did some secondhand Blu-ray shopping as well. We have a BMV near our work, and I got a movie called Cold in July for like $8, and it's a great movie. Great little thriller. But like dumpster diving for Blu-rays now, it's pretty great. Like there are movies that I want to, like Crimson Tide is a movie that I always loved, but I don't own on any media at all. I think I had it on VHS a long time ago, but that's the one with Denzel Washington and Gene Hackman on a submarine.
which one am I? Oh, I'm thinking of The Hunt for Red October.
Which is also a fantastic movie
Yeah.
that I should own and that I do not own. So like stuff like that, I'm trying to like plug some gaps, and I probably won't buy them ever again on like new version, like 8K and 16K and man, there was a joke in there. Sorry,
I'm sure it would have been really funny.
I lost my train of thought.
Yeah.
But yeah, so just to own them, so I have access to them and I can watch them whenever I want.
Right.
Yeah, so we just came back from Captain Marvel.
We did.
Yeah. So a little word on the title, because this is the first of 2 Captain Marvel movies we're going to see this year.
Yeah.
And there's sometimes there's a bit of confusion here, so I'm just going to clear this up real quick before we dive in. Captain Marvel, also the DC Comics Captain Marvel is also known as Shazam, was a Fawcett City or Fawcett Comics property and they stopped, and they were making them a long time ago, and I think they stopped making Captain Marvel books in the 50s and 60s, but between then and when DC bought Fawcett Comics, because they ended up doing that, and that's how DC ended up with the property of Captain Marvel / Shazam, Marvel had trademarked Captain Marvel, who is the character that you're seeing in this movie. Or I don't know if it's this particular iteration of the character that was way back then, but this character existed and they had trademarked the name Captain Marvel. So now DC had this property from Fawcett Comics, that was, his name was Captain Marvel, but they couldn't write it on the covers.
Right.
So his comic was always like some other title. So most of the time Shazam. Yeah. Which is the word he uses to gain his powers. Until just recently, he in the New 52, DC Comics ended up saying, you know what, let's cut the cord and just cut Captain Marvel out entirely. He's called Shazam now. And
I like that. I think
because there was a lot of confusion there.
Yes.
His books were called Shazam, but in the books his name was Captain Marvel, and that's the guy he turns into.
Right.
After he says the wizard's name, Shazam. So, but now they're like, you know what? The wizard's name, Shazam. He's Shazam. Everybody's fucking Shazam.
Didn't they just get rid of the wizard? They're like, now you're the wizard too. I'm out of here. And then the Rock of Eternity just falls on him. He's just. I feel like I saw that somewhere.
To add to the confusion, and I've never looked up the pronunciation of this man's name, who I think is a great actor, and I love it when he appears in movies. Great character actor. Jimon Hansu, I think that's his name.
I think that's how you pronounce it.
So he was in Aquaman as the Fisherman King. He's, to add to the confusion, he is playing Shazam, the wizard, in Shazam.
Yep.
He is also in Captain Marvel playing, and I can't remember his name, the character's name that he's playing, but it's the same character he played in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right. He's actually playing Alfred in Matt Reeves' Batman film as well.
No, he's not.
Yeah, he is now.
Now he is. Yeah,
he
okay,
also,
perfect.
strangely enough,
He got cast as the Flash.
Yeah, no, not that. Come on, that's just unreasonable. No, he actually played Kevin Costner playing Clark Kent's dad, Pa Kent, in both of the Man of Steel and Batman versus Superman.
Basically, whenever they had to film a Pa Kent scene in Man of Steel,
yeah,
Jimon Hansu went into makeup 4 days before that.
No, he didn't use makeup. He was just a really good actor. He does a really, really good.
No Kevin Costner prosthetics?
Impression. No, not at all. Just straight up acting.
That guy, yeah. And he was also in for real, he was legitimately in Constantine as Papa Midnight.
Papa Midnight.
So he has a long history with comic properties. So it's just really funny that he's in both Captain Marvel movies. Yeah. And you know, the character names at one point were the same. So so that clears that up. So this is the first Captain Marvel movie we're going to see this year. Second one being Shazam when that comes out in like a month or so.
Yeah. April, I think.
Yeah. So I don't think there's anything else we want to talk about. We want to just dive in.
Let's do it.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at the extended TLC music video that is Shazam. I mean Captain Marvel.
So right. I was curious just how much 90s crap they were going to try and shove into this film, and
it was heavy-handed, sir.
It was extremely
heavy-fisted, one might say.
It was double-fisted. It was bad. Okay, so wait, overall
general feelings.
What did you go first?
I go first. Okay, I'm gonna go first. It was okay.
That's It
was okay.
Yeah. I don't know that I'd probably watch it again down the road.
Yeah.
But it would be like, oh, that's on Netflix. I'll watch that. Yeah. Or like, I'm watching a bunch of Marvel movies. I'll watch this and continue. But it's not like the first thing. There's a couple of good scenes. There's a couple funny moments.
Yeah.
But overall,
yeah, it's kind of a.
You know, my biggest problem with the film was it was such a clunky, janky film. The way everything was put together. Mm-hmm. This is not really a spoiler, but the way that she kind of puts together events throughout the film,
like her backstory,
her memories and stuff. It's been done to death, and it's been done far better that it's been done in this film. Right. Like it was kind of all over the place. You see plot twists coming a mile away. Yeah. I wasn't really excited by this film.
The plotting didn't bother me too much. Like how I think what I can agree with from what you said was how kind of rote the whole thing was. It's like, yes, it's sort of been done before. With stuff for me that's the most important, with stuff that that's been done before, is there something new that makes this fresh? And that seems like counterintuitive. I guess what I mean to say is, like, visually, is there something new, something interesting I can latch onto? Case in point, Aquaman. Aquaman is not telling some, it's not a great drama or a well-written film, I'd say.
Right.
But it's showing me something so new that I haven't seen before that I can't. I get sucked into that, and and even though the plot points are sort of rote and have been done before, I'm kind of okay with it because the presentation is so unique. Yeah. And this movie, I think that the plot, yes, it's kind of like you can see things coming, but its presentation it's kind of dull. That's kind of what I felt. And the other thing that really kind of put the nail in the meh coffin for this movie was like Brie Larson. Like I thought she was just stiff as a board.
Yeah.
This entire movie, I didn't get it, and it wasn't like clicking with me. Her performance wasn't working for me.
Yeah.
She was just really like cardboardy. Like it's almost like she was in a George Lucas like prequel movie.
She was actually played by Jimon Hansu as well.
Yeah.
He just couldn't get it down.
That's right.
It's a tough role to play.
That's right. I can't blame the man.
Yeah.
But it just seemed really. She seemed
during like emotional moments in the film. Yes, she seemed very stiff, and it wasn't like a character trait of her trying to control her emotions. She just was stiff.
Yeah, she has these moments where she's kind of looking at the camera. It's a small smirk here and there, and I'm like, maybe I'm just not getting it. But when I was watching the movie, there are emotional moments that I completely squashed by her performance.
Yeah,
and I think that there's cool stuff that they did here. I can really appreciate the whole discovering who you are and those memories and when they're finally revealed to her.
Yeah,
these are moments like technically that are built up, I think, in a good way, like in a way that yes, there's going to be some emotional payoff.
Yeah.
And there's one scene in particular I thought was effective, but we'll get into that, spoilers. But her performance just kind of sucks the emotion out of it.
Right.
So I'm kind of left feeling like, oh yeah, that happened, but it was more like computational rather than emotional.
Yeah.
I felt like the other people around her were pretty good though. I thought Sam Jackson kind of phoned it in, but if he
really,
yeah, like
I didn't.
No,
I really enjoyed his performance.
I enjoyed his performance.
Yeah.
I don't think he was I don't know, particularly memorable. Like, but he wasn't stiff or anything like that. He just delivered, and he was there, and he was Nick Fury, and it was cool. Like, but I don't know. The one that connected with me the most, I thought her friend did a lot of the emotional, like heavy lifting, and oh Christ, what's his name now? I had his name and I forgot it.
Which character?
The Australian Skrull.
Oh, I don't know the actor's name.
Oh, he's a really good actor too, and he was. Man, sorry, I have to.
You look it up.
I got
Jude Law was that. If you want to talk about phoned in performances, his kind of was a little phoned in to me.
He was doing his.
That's why I couldn't even keep track of what his character name was because he was just basically Jude Law with sinister looking eyes.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. What did you think of the action?
The action I had problems with, and it might just be because we watched it in IMAX and it's such a big screen, but they did a lot of the really close-up filming, shaky cam stuff a lot of times where it's like in the fight scenes, like the hand-to-hand combat in particular, some of that stuff is just like it makes you dizzy, especially when looking at it in IMAX.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of like camera movement, a lot of editing.
Yeah,
there were certain scenes that I did like, and we'll get to that in the spoilers. Some of the action I did like and thought was inventive, but mostly again kind of flat. Like if I were to compare it to like Black Panther, for example. Yeah, Black Panther had a very interesting villain, so I think that was sort of different and new. And unique, but it showed us a whole I love the scenes of just the culture we've never seen on the screen before. Yes, with all of the color and vibrancy, it really reminded me of like a big Bollywood film, like an epic Bollywood film. Like when I watch those, I'm just sucked in by all the color but so there was that presentation there, and I really got attached to that. And then here, it was just. Yeah, it just didn't achieve that. It didn't get to that level. Right. Like, it just didn't...
Now, at this point, you're talking about the look and feel of the film more than just the action.
So even the action. So, like, in Black Panther, I didn't think the action was particularly... Like the final fight scene, I wasn't really connected. I wasn't really connected. There was one really great... The casino... Is it Casino? Or where they fight? It was a great fight scene. But I didn't think the action was super unique. But still, that movie is like bouncing around in my head because of the presentation. I could kind of get past that stuff. But here, there wasn't. I didn't feel like there was much to latch on.
There was a couple of cool things that they did, but overall, especially the hand-to-hand combat stuff, there wasn't anything really for me to really latch onto. However. Any of the action scenes in space.
Oh, that's what I was about to say. That was great.
That was excellent. Oh, yeah. That was really
well
done.
Really good.
Like, the whole time I'm watching stuff like that, and I'm like, why couldn't... And I think we've said this in a prior podcast, but why couldn't Green Lantern do more of that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, I wouldn't want Green Lantern to be this film, but there's so many elements that were done so well in this film that could have been done well and weren't in that film.
Yeah.
So, but hopefully they take notes.
Yeah.
One other thing I wanted to mention before we start talking about the actual film, the content in the film, was the coloring of it. I mentioned this to you earlier because I wanted to know whether my eyes are just going or what. But the one thing that I was having problems with is you'd have these really dark and very muted scenes with not a lot of color, and then all of a sudden there'd be this super bright light that all of a sudden it just shocks your eyes. And that happened early on a few times, like when they were on that planet. I don't want to spoil anything, but early on the first scenes, that's where I was just like, ugh, like that was hitting me. And then in the third act, where they're basically in space, and there's a lot of lights and stuff. Like it was the same problem except amplified because they were doing it 10 times more. Yeah. So
I get what you're. I think I get what you're saying. There was a lot of those moments. There are moments in the movie that are done in dark scenes and things felt muddy. Yeah. And it was an odd choice. Yes. And we'll get to that. Like I did feel like some of the movie was darker than it needed to be.
Yeah. Agreed.
But yeah, like the epilepsy, I can't really comment on. But, maybe you're slightly epileptic.
I don't know, man. Yeah. I'm usually not that sensitive to that kind of stuff, or maybe I am, and films just don't typically do it. But this one, I visibly was like getting visually exhausted.
Yeah, we did see it in IMAX. I think that's worth mentioning. And there are some scenes that do the full frame IMAX. It does do a lot of cutting back and forth on the aspect ratio, which I kind of find a little annoying. Yeah. But when it is full frame, it does look quite
better.
Yeah, quite good.
Yeah, agreed.
But yeah, so like it was fine. Yeah, I thought it was okay. It was a fun time at the theater. Like, if I were to compare it, like I like Black Panther better. I liked Aquaman better.
I liked most Marvel movies better than this one.
I think like Wonder Woman is a much better movie than this one. Just based on the lead actress alone. Yeah. Like it was way more compelling in my mind. Don't get me wrong, the actual plot and like the mechanics of what happened, I think are really interesting. Like with her character, like she didn't deliver. I don't think, like, I just couldn't connect with what she was trying to do there. Right. And I maybe it's not just her fault because she's being directed to that stuff. Did you ever see Kong Skull Island?
Dude, that's been on my to-watch list for a long time.
So I feel the same way about her performance here that I did in Kong Skull Island. She was in that movie, and I just forget that she's in it.
Really?
Yeah, because she's just kind of there, and there wasn't. It was just she just felt bland. I haven't seen her in anything else, or not that I can remember. Maybe that's why. But I haven't seen her in anything else, so I can't really comment whether that's like a common thing. But like I've seen these two movies, and the performances have been kind of dry and flat. So yeah, so I think that's pretty much what I have to say.
Sorry, there was one more thing I wanted to mention. I can mention this later, but the de-aging that they used. Yeah, Sam Jackson's was awesome.
Yeah, that was almost unnoticeable.
Yeah, completely. Like to the point where I was like, did they actually de-age him, or did they do prosthetics or something? Coulson looked de-aged. There was something there that looked a little off.
Was it you were talking about Willem Dafoe being de-aged in Aquaman? He looked like a goblin. Yeah. I think Clark Gregg's de-aging started to look a little janky. Yeah. At some points, it was a little more obvious, but Sam Jackson's was
perfect.
Was pretty much seamless. Oh, and I found the actor's name that plays the lead Skrull. His name is Ben Mendelsohn, and he was like the bad guy in Ready Player One. He was the bad guy in Bloodline, the TV show where I saw him for the first time. He's an amazing actor in that, amazing role in that, and he's been the bad guy in Rogue One. Like he's been the bad guy in a lot of stuff. Yeah, but he's actually a legitimately good actor, and I thought they really did more with his character in here than I anticipated. Mm-hmm. So I did enjoy that very much.
Yeah. No, yeah.
And the prosthetics I thought were great.
The Skrulls?
Yeah. I thought that was cool. Their shape-changing stuff was cool.
Yeah, it was kind of a neat effect.
Yeah, and I liked the crew, that ragtag crew at the beginning, like Jude Law's crew. Yeah. I love like their different weapons and how they all look different. I enjoyed that stuff. I wish there was more of that, but
Yeah.
there's not. It's the focus is elsewhere.
Yeah, true. All right, we want to start talking about this movie.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So, at the very beginning of the film, we're introduced to Veers. It's Veers, right? That's how they were pronouncing it, which pissed me off because later it should be technically Verse.
Yeah.
But anyways, Veers. Jude Law and their ragtag band of warriors, which we just mentioned. They valiantly run into battle to rescue a brother in arms, but Veers is captured and mind-readed?
Yeah, she's mind probed, I guess.
Probed is a better word than readed, I guess.
That's right.
Yeah, like that. And this is the first example where I was talking about where things really started to look muddy. Like this planet, things were very dark. And then you've got like the laser blasts and things, and it's just like, whoa, okay. There's like, you don't need to go from complete dark to like a big flash of light and then back to dark. It's jarring on the eyes.
Yeah.
With my epilepsy and everything, apparently.
Yeah, I think I agree. I had exactly the same feeling as you up until that fight started. So you have this crew trying to save this spy. They go to the mouth of a cave, and they have all of these like native species to the planet coming in, like, creating a mob basically, while Veers goes inside to get the spy. And I felt exactly like you did. Couldn't really see anything. It was really foggy. And I'm like, why did they shoot it like this? Then the fight starts. And actually, I can legitimately say that was my favorite action scene of the movie. I really liked it because I love the fact that all of these guys are different, and the way that I like what some of these Marvel movies. I'm saying some, but like Guardians of the Galaxy and stuff, like they don't tell you what their weapons do. Like nobody explains them to you. They kind of use them, and you kind of see like what they can do, and they capitalize on that in this movie. Like Jude Law's got these gauntlets that do this like gravity defying thing, and Jimon Hansu has the twin swords, and one of them's a sniper, and the other guy's just a bearded like brawler. Yeah. But they have a lot of cool stuff that happens, and that scene was interesting. That action scene was interesting and like unique, and I liked all of the different things that were happening. They didn't really get to that level of uniqueness at any point in the movie until the space battle. I think toward the end. But yeah, so I did enjoy that scene. She gets captured, and another scene that I enjoyed right after that is when she's getting probed. The way they represented her memories as being like a tape somebody's watching. And it's Ben Mendelsohn's narration being like, okay, go back over here. But it's actually her remembering. Right. So like she's starting to, in her own memories, she's starting to recognize something's wrong because things are happening repeatedly. It's like, focus on this, focus. And they play it again and again and again. And it was I thought that was super imaginative and very, very well done.
It was interesting too how they needed her to focus. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Or at least that's what I got.
Exactly.
From it, right?
Exactly.
Is that they were working, what they were trying to do wouldn't work without her intervening and essentially playing along.
It had to be her remembering.
Yes.
And that's you're exactly right. That's the thing that makes this so unique and cool and logical.
Right.
Because it's not like you're looking at an image that somebody took and you're focusing. You being the person examining the image is focusing on something.
Right.
This is like looking at it through somebody else.
Yes.
And that person has to focus on that thing. And they introduced that, and they did that really well. I really liked that. I was like, okay, if the rest of the movie is this like imaginative and unique, then I'm on board. It just doesn't reach that level again, that level of imagination. So
now, were you like me, where in the very opening scene where she goes down to Jude Law's apartment,
dojo,
I guess his space dojo?
Yeah.
As soon as I saw him, I'm like, oh, he's the bad guy.
Yeah.
I don't know. He just.
I mean, there was no surprise there. I don't think.
Yeah.
The surprise came later with the lead skull, Talos.
That was a surprise.
I legitimately loved his performance.
Yeah.
It was so good, and it came so out of nowhere. And again, that's something that was unique. It was so unique when they did it. And he gets the funniest moments.
Yes.
And he gets the most emotional moments, in my opinion. Mostly due to, I think, Brie Larson's wooden performance.
Maybe, but he was still excellent in his own right.
Yeah, absolutely. She was given way more screen time, but I thought his story was so interesting, and it was so well. They actually did that really, really well.
His reveal on his own was a surprise.
Yes.
And then the fact that there was a group of Skrull refugees in the laboratory was also another surprise.
Yeah,
so that to me was the kind of the best of the storytelling in the
Yeah,
film for sure.
same.
Like you said, the performance was excellent. He worked the prosthetics.
He did
Amazingly,
He
like
did.
as good as like a Ron Perlman or hopefully what's his name, David Harbour.
Yeah.
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 Because it looks, anyways. I won't go into Hellboy.
Yeah.
We discussed that a little before, but
Right.
but yeah. Anything else you want to mention about the
No,
opening stuff?
she gets probed in the mind, and then she escapes, and then she has this like pretty cool fight scene where she has her hands covered.
Yeah.
I thought that was fun and unique, and she escapes. She like blows a hole in the ship. And,
Blows the hole in the ship, breaks their ship, and then she touches down in Blockbuster Video.
Yes.
And the Skrulls touch down in
beach.
the beach. Yeah, somewhere probably in Venice.
Yeah.
Venice Beach. And then there was that really funny moment, like, hey, that one's taken when they shapeshift.
They shapeshift into surfers. Yeah.
But yeah, so at that point they've touched down, and then the next day Fury catches up. Fury and Coulson and a bunch of other agents catch up with the Veer's character at the Blockbuster Video, and they try to apprehend her. But then all of a sudden the Skrulls jump in. Mm-hmm. They have the train fight scene.
Yep.
And
what'd you think of the train action bit?
Like it was too close. It's my same complaint from before. Like if they could have taken it, if they could have filmed it better, it would have been good. Like you could tell the choreography on there was actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
But because you couldn't see anything, and everything's all shaky and shit, it's like
yeah, it wasn't particularly memorable. Not like for me, not like the beginning group fight scene or even her escape, which I thought was pretty nifty as well. The train fight was I wasn't.
I think in terms of action scenes, aside from the stuff at the end, I think the escape fight scene would have done it for me.
Yeah. That was pretty nifty.
And it looked good too.
Yeah.
It didn't suffer as much of the really close up action. There was some like there was definitely some of that, but there were also some farther shots where you got to see some good choreography.
Yeah.
The way it's supposed to be viewed, in my opinion.
Yeah. So train fight scene, and then she, I guess the guy drops a little gem.
Yes.
That she puts into her Omni wrist tool thingy and digs up a memory of hers, and it's like of a bar, I guess.
Yeah, this Poncho's bar.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, at this point, Nick Fury also was riding around with Skrull. The Skrull ended up dying.
Yes.
But now he's definitely in on the joke. So after Fury brings the body to, then they do an autopsy, and then he satisfies his curiosity about what otherworldly genitalia looks like.
Yeah.
He manages to track down Veers at the Poncho's bar, and then they start talking. They start making, I guess, friends.
Yeah, they start making friends, and this all felt kind of stiff to me.
Yeah.
Like this whole thing, it didn't feel like
it didn't flow well.
Yeah, like Fury, I could feel like Sam Jackson was kind of doing his bit. Again, this is my issue with Brie Larson's delivery or something. It just felt stilted. It felt manufactured. It didn't feel like super organic.
Yeah.
But it didn't. It wasn't like it felt fake. It just, I don't know. I didn't connect with it. So
That's
I was
fair.
kind of like, at that point, I kind of like took a step back. I'm like, okay, it's not gonna work for me.
Yeah.
That was the moment where I realized like her performance wasn't gonna work for me. Was that conversation in the bar where I was like, I'm not really feeling it. So I kind of like stepped back. So like stop expecting that to happen, and like just enjoy the ride. And that was kind of like when that happened for me.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so they have this conversation, and then they go off to the S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters to look for the person that Brie Larson, what's her name, Veers' character, has memories of. So
Yes.
she has these memories on Earth, but she's being told that she was discovered and taken in, or like she's Kree.
Yeah.
Yeah. And but she has Earth memories, so she's like, "What is this nonsense? Let's go figure this out. Who's this person I keep remembering? It's Annette Bening. Let's go figure that out." I thought Annette Bening was super distracting. I don't know what it was about her performance. I just felt like she was
She stood out.
She stood out a bit, and I don't know why. I can't really tell you why. It wasn't like a bad performance or anything. It was just, I don't know.
Different. It was different from everything else in the film. Everything
Yeah, it's
else,
like one of these things is not like the rest.
You know
and
what
it was
it is?
Annette Bening.
Everybody at that point was just kind of this kind of bland thing, and for her, like with the white hair and the popping eyes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
and-
Really, like the eyes. They really went for that. And
Yeah.
In fact, I think her eyes are only like that when she's represented by that Kree artificial intelligence.
Maybe.
I think her eyes are like that. especially like that, man. So what did you think of that? Like like the entire Kree are run by this artificial intelligence that they plug into.
Yeah.
And when you plug in, you go to this like space, and when you talk to the artificial intelligence, it takes the form of something close to you so that it's easier for you to talk to it. Like it's kind of so she sees Annette Bening, who's this character that she has a memory of but has never actually met in her own mind. What did you think of that? Did you like that representation, or that idea?
Yes and no. So the yes is I like the idea that what you see is, something that's familiar to you. It's easier to talk to them. It's easier to associate with them.
Yeah.
The no comes in the fact that this was a very poor design decision when they're thinking to overwrite her memories, is to be like, yeah, let's show her somebody that she doesn't remember, and then she's going to start questioning everything.
That's
like
true.
When we decided to commandeer her and turn her into a living weapon.
That's true.
And use her.
Yep.
Not a very good decision when they're planning Mr. Artificial Intelligence.
Yeah.
If that's what you want to be called.
That's right.
Artificial dum-dum.
A real dum-dum. You are not an artificial intelligence. You are a real dummy. Yeah, so she is... so now they go to S.H.I.E.L.D., right?
They go to S.H.I.E.L.D. Fury texts his boss, but his boss turns out to be a Skrull.
Yeah.
Which is the Australian dude you mentioned.
Ben Mendelsohn gets to play himself at least once without any makeup on. It's so funny. It's like, why does Ben Mendelsohn, the human character, sound exactly like the Skrull character? Because he already has an Australian accent when you first see him as a Skrull.
Yeah.
Then he changes into Ben Mendelsohn, who is Fury's boss at the time, and his voice is exactly the same.
Yeah.
So which means that this Skrull, who is from outer space, sounds exactly like Ben Mendelsohn from Earth, who happens to be Nick Fury's boss. I thought that stood out. It's a small nitpick and really fucking means nothing, but it's just a funny thing that I noticed. I'm like, oh, he got to play his own accent and himself, so that means that this Skrull and him just happened to sound exactly the same. Right?
I mean, it's more interesting than that too, in that, like, why would a Skrull have an accent?
Well,
maybe Skrulls all have accents.
Yeah,
maybe
they're
if
all
you're from like a certain
Australian.
part of your world, you just automatically have an Australian accent in whatever language it is you speak. That's might be it.
I mean, why they all speak in English? We can go down this road. It's probably not
Universal translators. Otherwise, the audience wouldn't understand them. Yes, the universal translator breaks the fourth wall.
Yeah. Well, the universal translator is applying the accent.
Yeah.
That's what it is. But yeah, so Ben Mendelsohn, who is Nick Fury's boss, is a Skrull.
Yep.
In fact, he's the lead Skrull. His name is Talos. And they have this archives fight scene where they come in and basically Fury and Captain Marvel escape.
Yeah.
And what happens then?
Well, at that point, they've revealed that she was there, so they know for sure she was there. They find her friend Monica. I only know her name's Monica because of her necklace. And then
Rambo.
Monica Rambo.
That's what it was.
Good name.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they end up going to her, and then she basically gives her whatever information they know. But that's when Talos comes out of nowhere, revealed as a Skrull.
Yeah.
And you have the really funny scene with the cat and the dialogue and
this
everything. But that's the major plot point to be revealed there, is it basically explains everything that happened with Annette Bening's Marvel character and the great betrayal by Jude Law.
Yeah. So she discovers that, after finding her army friend or her pilot friend, that Marvel, who is Annette Bening's character, who is this person that she has a memory of but not a memory of meeting, was actually Kree. And she was trying to create a light space travel drive to end the war between the Kree and the Skrulls. And they get attacked, and basically Jude Law is the one that attacks them, tries to take the light drive. Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel, shoots the light drive and absorbs some of its energy, and that's how she gets her powers.
Right.
So she suddenly remembers all of this, and that only happens because Talos has a recording of the black box of her last flight.
Right.
So having said all that, Talos showing up in the house completely randomly, I thought was absolutely hilarious. This scene caught me completely off guard, where he he's kind of just like a bumbling dad. That's what he just seems like. And he is really funny. He's got some really great lines. Freaked out by the cat. The whole cat thing where she's like goes like this with the cat, and he's like, that reminded me of Stephen Sommers' The Mummy.
Yeah.
When Brendan Fraser holds the cat up to the mummy freaks out and leaves. But yeah, and they humanize him to the point where I'm like, that caught me off guard, humanizing this lead Skrull guy. And you find out that the Kree have been systematically exterminating the Skrulls.
Right.
And that they're looking for a new home planet, and they want this light drive in order to get away and be safe. So the tables have sort of turned. Jude Law and their happy band of army guys, Kree army guys, are now the villains, and the Skrulls are the ones helping Captain Marvel and Nick Fury find the light drive.
And like I said, the turn for Jude Law and his band, not really a huge surprise, but the Skrull stuff really does take you for a surprise, because at that point in the film they'd been portrayed really well as the villains. Yeah. And then on top of that, traditionally the Skrulls in the comic books are the villains. Yeah, they are almost the worst of them. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So yeah, this movie took a complete 180 from the source material, and I'm really glad it did. I thought that this was the best way that they could have done it without making a lot more villains in the Marvel universe than was completely needed. Yeah. Having a big Skrull threat out there at all times is kind of overwhelming from a, plot device for any other films you're going to be making. Because Doctor Doom's coming, but okay, yeah, but there's this entire planet of Skrulls that can destroy us. Yeah. Fuck this guy.
Yeah. I really did enjoy that. Yeah. And it was really funny. He was really legitimately funny. Yep. And made me feel more for him than I did unfortunately for Captain Marvel's character arc. So they rig a ship together, and Jude Law ends up finding them, but not before they leave in the ship and go out into the atmosphere, into orbit. Right. Because that's where Marvel, a.k.a. Annette Bening's character, before she died, that's where she left the hyperlight drive. Yeah. Floating around in space. So they get onto the ship, and the next surprise happens that I didn't see coming. When they go on the ship, it turns out that his family, the Talos's, the lead Skrull's family, is on the ship, and other Skrulls that have been hiding there. And that's another really great emotional scene. Yeah. That I was just really kind of caught by surprise. Yeah. And then magically Jude Law's character finds them there, and I can't remember exactly how. We talked about this after, but I don't think either of us really remember exactly how.
I just figured he watched the ship go up, and he went, they went up there, and then what it probably was she went and uncloaked the ship and forgot to cloak it, and then everybody saw it and they're like, oh, that's probably where we need to go. That's true. 95, there's probably not a ton of satellites up there, and then there's something that looks way different. They're like, that's Kree, we should probably go there. Marvel was Kree.
Yeah. Yeah. There was one thing I forgot to mention. There's a scene where she changes her costume. Yes. Which I thought was really adorable. It was really cute and really well done. Where, and again, Rambo, her pilot friend's daughter, comes and says, "Oh, we're gonna change the colors because she's no longer working or fighting for the Kree." Right. So she, is messing around with the color palette like you would do in a video game, basically changing the colors of her suit. And she decides on that red, blue, gold thing. But this is a scene that's shot in the dark. Yeah. Isn't that weird? Yeah. It was really strange when they were changing the colors on the thing, and her color palette on her costume was changing. I'm like,
I could barely see what
you could barely see what the fucking colors are.
And then when the red and blue comes, it's like they turned on a spotlight. Yeah. It looked a lot more.
It was very strange. Yeah, it was very strange. I was curious. I'm wondering why. If somebody knows the answer, or why shoot that scene in the dark on the porch outside at night? You can't even see the colors change. Yeah. Yeah, that was another scene that I thought was why is it shot in the dark?
She was tensing her fists. Who just stands there like this? This is a good color. She's just holding everything tight. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Yeah. Tighten up, Brie Larson. Yeah. We're saying her performance was pretty stiff, but you don't have to. Anyways. Not all my jokes are gonna hit. Goddammit.
Tough night. As long as you can. Tough crowd. As long as you can admit it.
Yeah. Well. So at this point, she's basically completely changed sides. They're in the laboratory. They find the Tesseract in there because reasons.
Yeah.
And
well, the Tesseract is the drive.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
That's what they were using to power the drive.
Right.
And again, it's like, you know, we were saying like this movie's kind of like what we've seen before. This is literally the exact same thing we've seen before. Everybody chasing the Tesseract.
Well, yeah.
Like, and it's kind of like, yeah. So
and they just keep on. They keep on like there was the '90s stuff we talked about and how they keep shoving that in, but they're also shoving in Easter eggs all over the place. Between the Tesseract just randomly being like a plot device all of a sudden again, you've got Nick Fury's eye and like everything just feels like something's being shoved in there, and it's like, guys, just be your own movie. Stop being a component of a bunch of different shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, stop relying on all these things to really drive the movie.
How do you compare Nick Fury's eye to Han getting his name in Solo? How do you compare those two?
What?
You know, like, they're both prequels.
Yeah.
And they both have to line up with the movies that they're leading up to.
Yeah.
So you've got all these shout outs to, like, you know, what's coming up and like all these little details. How do you compare those two? Because you really shit on the whole, like, who are you here with? He's like, or who's your family? Who are you with? He's like, oh no, I'm here by myself. He's like, Han Solo, and he types it in the computer. You really fucking did not like that.
My eyes rolled back and then came all the way around for that.
So your tendons are like wrapped around your eyes.
So I have horrible vision now. And with this one, it was a little less so, but not as much.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. For me, I think it was in the Ultimate Universe. There was a really cool scene where basically, like, Nick Fury lost his eye and almost lost his life in, like, the heat of battle and only survived because Wolverine carried him, like, 20 miles back from whatever. And in this one, he got scratched by a cat.
Well, it's not a cat, exactly.
Whatever. You get
like
the
a
point.
Lovecraftian...
It could have been a cat.
Psycho monster in a cat's, you know, in a cat jacket. In a cat costume.
Cat. Whatever.
Yeah, that's your 2
strikes.
strikes. 2 strikes.
Yeah, I gotta
2
stop.
strikes.
It's all right. I'm gonna come up with something really good. But yeah, no.
So yeah, the Tesseract's up there.
Yeah.
Right. So they're chasing the Tesseract again.
Yeah.
I'm like, the stakes here aren't really. I'm like, oh, do they get the Tesseract? Like, do they not get the Tesseract? Like,
yeah.
I'm not really. It's like that really long fight scene in The Hobbit between Archer boy, I can't remember, Legolas, and like a lead and like the lead orc, and it's like this really long fight scene, and like he's getting beat up. I'm like, oh, is he gonna die? Like, no, he's not gonna die. No, this is fucking like, this is a waste of time. That's what this is. So I was kind of like, I did a little eye roll when I saw the Tesseract. I'm like, okay, we're chasing this fucking thing again.
Right.
But you know,
whatever. And then Marvel, or not Marvel, Jude Law, and they basically use Directive 4 on Brie Larson on Veers, and they just shut her down.
Yeah,
and then they start interrogating her again, I guess. Or...
Yeah, so they capture her, and she goes back into the AI.
Yeah,
the AI thing. What did you think of this scene where basically she breaks the shackles of her? They've built in this failsafe. And the AI is like, you know, you've done your job, you've found the Tesseract and stuff, and you can't fight me. You can't fight the AI because we control you. We can take away your power.
See, like, this is where the movie picked up for me, because I like that. I like it when characters are, you know, suppressed by their own right or by whatever it is, but whoever's doing the suppressing or whatnot doesn't realize the sheer depths of power that the person has.
Sure, yeah.
And they're able to not only overcome it, but just fucking obliterate it.
Yeah.
Like, you've seen that, like, Dragon Ball Z is one of my favorite shows out there, right? And they'd do that consistently, where all of a sudden somebody will go past their threshold, and then at that point they're on a completely different level, which is basically what this movie did.
Yeah.
And then when she fully powers up, you get her. There's one scene where her hair's all up, and she basically looks like a Super Saiyan.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, I lost it for that.
Oh, I didn't even mention this before. I absolutely loved the fucking Mohawk helmet.
Yes.
It looked so good.
Yeah.
And that was one of those flashes of uniqueness that I'm talking about. I'm like, yes, I can get behind that, you know?
Yeah.
Like in Black Panther with all the different factions having the cloak shields and stuff. I'm like, yes, I can get behind that. She has this crazy helmet that lets this middle part of her hair through, and it's like the Mohawk helmet. Loved it. I was like, that's great. Let's see more of that. And unfortunately, it's not in the movie that often. But
No, I mean, in most of the action scenes, it goes in and out, and it's there for a functional reason too. Like
that's true.
For when
that's
she's
true.
in space.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, I thought they did a pretty good job with that.
But so this scene in the AI, you're talking about like breaking out of the bounds. I loved the scene where she says, "You're only human." It's very cliched. You're only human, and then like that makes me strong and all that. But they did a subtle thing here where they represented that without her saying some cliched line,
right?
Which was all of those scenes, all these memories of her falling down at various points in her life, army training, falling off of her bike, all of these things, and she says, "You're only human," and she thinks back on all these scenes, and they show her getting up
right
after she has fallen, and that's the moment, that catalyst that allows her to break out of the control.
Right.
I thought that was really well done. That was a really great idea, great way to convey a feeling that you need to convey without going down that cliched, but that I'm only human, but that's what makes me strong. They did it in a way that was really elegant and unique. Unfortunately, again, marred by Brie Larson's performance, but that moment was so good. I just feel like if they got like someone with a little more gusto and a little more feeling in there, I think it would have been like a real killer moment in the movie. But at this point, it's just something I admire, that the writing for that.
Right. And at this point in the story, it's pretty much all over for all the bad guys, because now that she's at full power, there's nothing that can stop her.
Yeah, that was pretty cool when she comes on. She's like glowing, and her hair is like getting, like you said, Super Saiyan.
Yeah.
And they escape from the ship, and the Kree get on. I can't remember how. So they get on a ship, right? The Kree, because they're not really involved in the final fight. Sorry, not the Kree.
The Skrulls.
The Skrulls.
Yeah.
The Skrulls. The family of Skrulls.
Right.
And then you get this, because then fucking Jude Law calls in backup, and it's Ronan, the accusers.
Yeah.
I didn't realize the accusers were a race. Like, can you imagine being called the accusers?
Because they're all Kree. I think they're a band of Kree.
Yeah. So yeah, that was the other thing that was a little confusing, was that the Kree were like looked human, but then there's the
blue ones,
the blue Kree, which were still Kree, and so it's not that confusing. But I mean, I was just like, what, they're called the accusers. I'm like, what a shitty name for a race of Kree. It's like, you are the accusers. Oh man, like, and when he shows up, I thought it was really funny because he has the same stance the entire time. Did you notice that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So he's standing there and he looks cool with his hammer, Ronan. And he comes there and he's like, okay, Jude Law's telling me to bomb the place, so I'm going to bomb the place. So the bomb. And then Captain Marvel comes out all Super Saiyan, and they have this really great space battle.
Right. So when she turned around, basically when she stopped the first rocket that was coming down, I was like, how is she going to do that for all of them? And then she threw it at them, and I was like, whoa, that's how.
yeah, that's
like,
right.
It was like, oh, she got me.
Yeah, that's right.
And just this scene really just demonstrates just how above everybody else she is, in the way that she was like just going through the ship and just tearing it down as if it was paper mache.
Yeah, this is as close to like Superman as you're gonna get here. Like she went like Superman levels of like destructive power, and Ronan is just standing there like this with this hammer, just watching.
Yeah. We should probably go.
Yeah, that's like his only line, because the camera keeps shifting to the same angle behind him, and I find it very hard to believe through that whole thing, after she decimates all of his ships and all of his rockets, and now she's floating outside of his window, threatening him.
Yeah,
he hasn't moved a muscle. Like, I find that very hard to believe. He's still like, and the only thing he does is literally turn to the guy next to him, who's like this. I shit you not. He's like this.
Yeah, he's like,
He's got the biggest bug eyes. He's got the biggest derp look on his face. He's like, derp.
A derp.
I was like, what the hell? Anyway, and so Ronan shows up, and then he promptly leaves.
Yeah, he's like,
he has like 3 lines of dialogue, and then he leaves. But that is a great action sequence, actually. And the sound in the theater was very good.
Yes.
A lot of the surround sound was used at that point. Very good stuff.
Yeah.
What did you think of the gag with the cat when they were escaping the ship, and the cat not being a cat but being this like tentacle monster hiding inside of a cat.
I mean, the whole gag of it being some other creature from the very beginning, you kind of figured it wasn't a cat. At least I kind of
liked it. It was funny.
Yeah,
it was a little funny. They used it.
They used it a little too much.
Too much.
Yes,
they used it a little too much.
The first reveal was great. The Tesseract grab was really great.
Yeah.
Or wait, was the Tesseract grab the first one?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the second one was
that one I liked, but then after that it was just kind of any time they really referenced it.
Yeah. Did that shot of the cat, the tentacles coming out and him grabbing the Kree and like bouncing them around, it looked exactly like that scene from Guardians of the Galaxy where Groot does almost exactly the same thing. Like frame for frame, it almost looks exactly the same.
Yeah.
So that wasn't just me. I was like, oh, I've seen this before.
No. I'm pretty sure they just took the animation from that and they just made it tentacles instead of bark.
And like branches.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Yeah. It's... I
mean, either way, like the Kree are getting disposed of in exactly the same way in both movies.
Poor fellas.
But yeah, so then they escape. Then they have this space battle. And which is really cool. And then she comes down to... Am I missing something? Nothing.
Not really. Marvel, she takes down the Marvel ship. Or sorry, I keep saying Marvel. For some reason, I keep thinking Jude Law's Marvel.
No.
Jude Law takes down Jude Law. They have kind of the Indiana Jones fight moment, which is good.
Right. I liked that because...
I did too.
Yeah,
I was like, don't fight him.
Yeah.
What's the point?
Yeah.
What is to be gained?
Yeah, so he's like trying to goad her into a fist fight.
Yeah.
And she just...
she doesn't bite.
Yeah. Pops two in his chest.
Yeah.
And sends him back to the Kree homeworld.
Yep.
With a message saying that I'm going to dismantle your whole operation.
Yeah.
To tell the AI that. So, and then she
departs with the Skrulls.
Yeah, she leaves with the Skrulls. The Tesseract stays on Earth and then has its own adventures in the other Marvel movies. Mm-hmm. But she leaves Earth to help the Skrulls find a new homeworld.
Right.
And that's essentially the end of the movie. And then you have your post-credits sequence where, like everybody in the theater was just, like creaming themselves, and I just couldn't. Like that's the part of like going to opening night movies that, and I literally missed the first line of dialogue because of it. Yeah, like I don't know what. So the scene is like basically a couple of the Avengers, like Chris Evans.
Oh yeah, because people were still talking.
Yeah, Bruce Banner, and they were like, oh, and like I didn't hear what he said.
Yeah,
and I was like, fuck.
Yeah,
I hate all of you.
Yeah.
Stop it.
I know.
Didn't really say that
and
to
then
myself, but like
at the end of the shot, she shows up, and then people are just like, "Whoa, whoa!" I'm like, "Why? Is anybody surprised? What did you think was going to happen?" Like one of two things is going to happen. It ends with something indicating she's coming, or she's there. Yeah. One of two things is going to happen. Nothing else. Yeah. And even if the other one happened, where it's a little more subtle, you know she's going to be in the movie. Yeah. Why is this fucking surprise?
Yeah, the guy next to us was just freaking out.
He's a douchebag.
Yeah, and he was on his phone in the middle of the movie too. Yeah, that just like blows my mind. There was at least 2 or 3 people on phones, and I don't know, man. Like people pay a lot of money to go see this shit, especially in IMAX.
Yeah,
like that's why like the opening night movies. It's like if you get a good crowd, it can be fun. But with that many people and like the basically sold out show, I don't know if it was sold out, but like it's basically like almost all of the seating was filled.
Yeah,
there's gonna be people on their phones. Like I think it's a foregone conclusion with that many people in a movie.
Well, the guy started it off with taking an Instagram or something. An Instagram is sending it out at the beginning, and I'm like, I'll give you like another 20 seconds if you don't get off your fucking. I didn't say this to him, but in my head, I'm like, you get 20 seconds if you don't get off your phone. I'm saying something. He got off his phone within the time. I was like, I'll let it slide.
Yeah.
He took it out at another time. He's looking at it quickly, and then he put it away. I'm like, it was close. It was considerate. Maybe he had to check something. I'll let it go.
Yeah.
He did it again. I was like, all right, don't do it again.
Yeah.
Then he did it again. That's when I said something. Like,
did you?
Oh yeah.
No,
I leaned over. I said, "You need to put your phone away, please."
Yeah.
And he was good after that. He didn't do anything.
Yeah. And there was a guy 2 seats in front of us. So that one I kind of saw.
Yeah.
But it didn't really bother me because he was so far off to my right, and I was looking at the screen. He was right next to you.
Yeah.
So that was a little different. But there was a guy 2 rows in front, and I could see his phone clearly.
Yeah.
Because he was 2 rows in front, and I'm like, this is distracting. I'm looking at the theater and there's something glowing on the bottom.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just anyway, this is just a really random
I'll say this.
Tangent.
If you're going to the theater to watch a movie, get off your phone.
Yes. That's a
please.
Yeah. It's a good rule of thumb.
Yeah, like what the fuck?
Yeah.
I don't. You're not at home.
Yeah,
Other
exactly.
people are there. It's distracting.
And
Cut the shit.
And it's a IMAX ticket too. Like, you know, it's expensive.
Yeah.
So it's really inconsiderate. Anyway, so yeah, but minus the people freaking out and me missing that first line of dialogue, essentially is the scene of all the Avengers looking at the pager that Sam Jackson sent out, that page before he disintegrated. And the pager turns off,
right,
and indicating that Marvel has returned. So, and then she shows up right behind Black Widow and says, "Where's
Fury?
Where's Fury?"
Yeah,
and that's the end.
Which, I mean, deep down, I definitely was like, "Oh, sweet," but like after that, hey, we're just finishing up soon. So yeah, it was one of these things where like, it's kind of a fuck yeah moment, but at the same time, not enough that I'm going to start cheering and shit.
Yeah, it was just like a lot, like the guy next to us who was on his phone.
Yeah.
Started just cheering. I was like, okay.
Right.
Like, I don't know what you expected to happen, but it was a good moment, and it was a cool end credit sequence.
Yeah, but I mean, jerking off in the middle of the theater was probably not necessary.
That's graphic.
It was graphic. That's pretty much how it went, though.
That's the point.
Yeah.
It was graphic.
Yeah.
And then there's a second end credit sequence which we didn't stay for because we just had to wait too long and we had to get back to record this episode. But it's usually something inconsequential, and in this case,
it was indeed that.
It was indeed that the cat sneaks into Nick Fury's office and regurgitates the Tesseract because it had eaten the Tesseract.
Right.
So yeah, in the end,
well, this has been episode number 35.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna call it. Episode 35. It was okay. I feel like it's a lead in to Endgame. If you want to.
It is.
No, I mean, I feel like that's one of the things that it has going for it in terms of box office appeal. That it's absolutely the lead. It's a direct lead into Endgame. But it's okay.
Yeah, it's worth seeing. If for nothing else, just to get context as to who the character is, because she will come back for Endgame, obviously. So I think like I said before, I think that there are great moments in here, but I did just marred by some not so great acting. And, nothing unique here. Not nothing. Not enough unique. Yeah. Didn't really push the envelope very much.
That's right.
All right. Well, anything else for you?
No, that's it.
All right. Well, this has been, like I said, episode number 35. Shit, I can't believe we're 35 episodes in.
We're 35 years old.
I'm 34.
I am 30. I'm 35. I'm 35. Yeah,
You're 35. I'm 34.
Holy shit, I am 35 years old. I said a fact. That was a fact.
That was a fact.
We were also on episode 35.
Yeah.
That was amazing. I'm awesome.
It's like
and with that, I'm out of here. Finish the show on your own, Justin.
Well, thanks again for listening, folks. Or watching if you're watching us on YouTube. This has been Justin.
This is Atul.
There you go. Oh, I just muted it. I tried to point it to him. And that's it. I'm signing off. Take care. Bye. Ciao.